The Knicks postgame show is presented by Tri-State Audi. Visit your Tri-State area Audi dealer today. In Chicago tonight, Derrick Rose honored at the half, the former Bull and the former Knick. Karl Anthony Towns, huge game, 44 points, 25 coming in the fourth quarter. But the Bulls blew it open in the second half. Kobe White, career game from three, made 9, a career high 9 of 11 for him from downtown, 33 points. And the Bulls beat the Knicks tonight, 139 to 126. Great to have you with us from our Delta MSG studios. Bill Pidto along with Wally Szczerbiak. What in the world happened? The Knicks are up by 9 at the half. You have the long Derrick Rose ceremony. The Knicks then get wiped out in the third quarter, and when you total it all up, they give up 76 points in the second half, their worst defensive half of the year, 139 points allowed for the game, their worst defensive game of the season. What happened?
Well, it was a long half, no excuse. They have to be ready, get a little bit of warm-up to get ready for that third quarter. In the third quarter, they just looked lifeless. They could not generate the energy and the aggressiveness and the adrenaline on a back-to-back situation to get out to those three-point shooters. And Zach LaVine and Kobe White, they'll make you pay if you let them get open. Those guys got hot. 9 for 11 for Kobe White. We know he can shoot. That's an outstanding shooting night for him. He continued to get open looks. The Knicks are continuing to struggle with teams that can spread them out and run pick and roll. They get into scramble situations and rotations, and at times they can't defend that three-point line. At the same time, 20 for 37, you're not going to beat any team that's going to shoot that high of a percentage from three.
So after the Derrick Rose ceremony, you had a long half. Teams didn't have the normal amount of time to warm up for the second half. Chicago outscored the Knicks in the third quarter, 41-17. That's the worst point differential for the Knicks in any quarter this year, outscored by 24 points.
Yeah, it was those kind of nights, I've experienced them. They're eerie nights. There's like emotion in the building. That's a real big, it becomes a bigger game for the Chicago Bulls franchise with everything that's going on. And sometimes you can get a heroic effort by the home team in this situation. You saw Tom Thibodeau's, comments up on the Jumbotron in Chicago because he has had a lot of emotional years and games there in Chicago. So it was a little bit of a different night, but you can't make excuses. The Bulls outplayed the Knicks. That's the bottom line.
But the short warm-up time didn't bother the Bulls.
I know, exactly. The Bulls came out ready to play. The Bulls came out the aggressors in the third quarter. The Bulls made all their shots when they were open. The Knicks scored 30-plus in three quarters. They just had a really flat third quarter. I mean, look at that shot that Kobe White hit to close the quarter. It was well defended over Shamet, but they have shot makers, and when those guys are hot, the Bulls are now 2-0 against the Knicks. They have the Knicks number this year so far this season.
Knicks outscored by 36 total points from three. Look at that. 20 made threes, as you mentioned. The Knicks only had 8. And the Knicks did cut it to 6. I mean, the runs in the modern-day NBA, the Knicks are down by 19, Wally, early in the fourth. They cut it to 6 with about 6 minutes to go. And then before you walked around the room and then sat down, they're down by 18 again. It's unbelievable.
Points in the paint is something Alan showed at the pregame that they were going to be able to exploit. 72 points in the paint. That's a lot of points in the paint. The Knicks were getting wherever they wanted. They were scoring. They scored enough points, scoring 126 points. The team that's been playing great defense for the last month and a half just lost their defense tonight. They have to figure out how to get back to the drawing board. It was a back-to-back situation. It was an emotional game last night. Guys have been playing a lot of minutes. That's probably the reason why the Knicks gave up so many points on that defensive end of the floor.
All right. Well, Alan Hahn helped call the game with Mike Breen. He now joins us from Chicago. Alan, what do you think? What happened there in the second half?
I heard you guys talking about it, and the first thing you had to mention is the 28-minute halftime. That's certainly something that's a factor, not for the home team, not for the team that's been sitting around for 2 days, but possibly for the team that played last night and emptied the tank last night. And you had a great close to that half for the Knicks as you had Jalen Brunson with 14 points in 5 minutes, and then you have to sit around for a while, and maybe that's just when it tightens up. I don't know, but the real story of that third quarter was simple. It was one statistic that mattered the most. It was one team was 7 for 8 from three-point range. The other team was 0 for 7 from three-point range, and just do the math right there. The Bulls got hot. The building got up. There was a lot of emotion here already. They were dying for something to cheer for, and knocking down threes, which the Bulls do at the second highest rate in the NBA this season. That is something that they rode the momentum of it into a fourth quarter that the Knicks did make a push, but it certainly wasn't going to be enough against this team. They just got momentum. They seized it in that third quarter, and everything turned from there, and it all had to do with the three-point line.
Yeah, Alan, 44 for Karl Anthony Towns, 16 rebounds, massive game. We knew he was going to have a matchup advantage against Jokic, and then 33 for Brunson. How did the Knicks flush this one, get this one out of their periphery, just get it out of their system, and bounce back against Orlando in 2 days?
It's what we talked about in the pregame show, Wally. They've been very good at that. And when you watch the first half and they scored 72 points, you thought, okay, here they go again. They're really good at just flushing it, like you just said, get it out of their system and on to the next game. And you thought they were on their way to it by the way they played that first half. Third quarter got to them, and it just felt like fatigue. You could see it kicked in. I kept using the phrase in the broadcast. I kept saying gear. It felt like they were stuck. They could not get into fifth gear. And the Bulls, because they were rested, the Bulls want to play fast. They were already pedal to the metal, so it was harder for the Knicks to do it. Now, they go home tomorrow. They play Monday at home. Now, you're home for the month, and that's good. No travel. But the schedule certainly gets tougher. The opponents get tougher, and we all know what the Magic bring when they come into town. They're going to play physical. It's going to be another one of those types of games against that team. And so you got to hope that the Knicks can just recharge the battery tomorrow and get back at it on Monday, because they've been very good responding after losses. Guys, this is only the second time all season they've lost consecutive games. Let's put that into perspective.
All right, Alan, have a safe trip back, and we'll see you on Monday night when the Knicks play host to the Magic. And Alan, and you talking about Karl Anthony Towns, hopefully he's okay. Looked like he tweaked a leg or an ankle, a knee, whatever it was late in the game, limped off in the locker room. But he was dominant tonight, dominant. He had a season-high 46 against the Bulls in the first meeting. He had 44 tonight. I mean, again, 25 in the fourth quarter.
17 for 29, 3 for 7 from 3, got to the free throw line 10 times. These are video game-like numbers. He can score whenever he wants. The completeness of his offensive game, it's something to watch. It's impressive because he can really stretch you and draw the defense to him at the three-point line, and then he can score driving to the basket facing up. He can score back to the basket whenever he wants. You see why he was the #1 pick in the draft. I mean, it's just effortless talent, how easy the game comes to him. And I just firmly believe that the Bulls, they were like, we know we can't stop this guy. We know he's going to go for almost 50, but we got to figure out a way to score on the other end and just outscore the Knicks. That's all they wanted to do, was just get as many threes as possible, try to get as many looks as possible, try to play as fast as possible, and make the Knicks play an up-tempo, fast game because they were coming off a back-to-back. And I think that's what ultimately wore the Knicks team down.
Brunson had 33, but only 7 after halftime. He had a huge first half, 26, 8 of 12 in the first half, but only 7 after halftime.
Remember, he's coming off, he missed a game 2 games ago, that calf injury. You don't know what's going on with Jalen Brunson. I always talk about it. This is the hardest month of the NBA season. These are the dog days of the NBA season. You've built some equity with 24 wins, and you're 24-12 now. So now you're trying to just
dog days because you're tired, looking forward to the All-Star break already? What is it?
It's already game 37, 36. You know, 36, you got 20 more until you get to the All-Star break. And there's no time to rest. Games are coming every other day or back-to-backs. You've already accumulated, think about it, 37 games you've had to get up for already. And you have another 20 before you get any semblance of like a 2 to 3 day break, which is the All-Star break, which is a nice long 1 week break where you can recharge. This is where it really tests your mental toughness as a player. You just have to figure out a way to will your way to wins. You can't do it by just going out there every night and figuring out a way to outplay a team as far as playing hard. You got to out-execute a team, and you got to outsmart a team, and you got to do it with your brain. And unfortunately tonight, the Bulls were up to the challenge, and they had the fresh legs, which I think was the difference in this one. One
thing that could be in the Knicks' favor as we look forward to the rest of the month, 10 of their next 12 are at home. On Derrick Rose night tonight in Chicago, the Bulls beat the Knicks by 13, 139 to 126. Back now from the Corner 3, presented by Michelob Ultra Superior Light Beer. Knicks are back home Monday night to play host to Orlando, and it begins a stretch of 10 of the next 12 at home the rest of the month. The only 2 road games for the rest of January are at Philadelphia and at the Nets. Time now to listen into the post-game comments from Knicks coach Tom Thibodeau, as always, presented by Chase.
Third quarter was a problem. You know, that's their style of plays. They play fast, and so we missed a couple shots and we were slow getting back, and they closed the gap right away. And then it was uphill battle after that. Then we got some life in the fourth, cut it, I think, to 6, and had a shot, but, fell short.
The total of last night's game, do you think it impacted today at all?
Yeah, I think, probably some, but back-to-backs are part of the league, and you couple that with they were off for 3 days, so I knew they were going to be high energy. And, I thought offensively we scored plenty. Defensively, we have to do better.
You exert so much energy to come back and to cut it to 6. Is it just hard to get over that final hump and get there?
Yeah, they're a good offensive team. They got rhythm, and so the challenge is that they can score quickly. If you score and you jog back, or you complain to an official, they're racing it up, and so that's where we could be better. And I knew this would be as much a mental challenge as a physical one, and so overall, we just went through a pretty tough stretch in terms of where we were with the schedule. I think we're +6 to the road, 5 out of the last 6 on the road, so now we got a chance to go home, and obviously there's a lot of things that we have to work on and clean up.
You know what happened with the cat at the end of the game?
I haven't heard from medical yet.
You mentioned, but you guys have gotten, I think, 21 out of 36 on the road here, and now have a month where you basically almost don't have to get on a plane. Just kind of, what does that present differently for you?
Well, I think the important thing is for us to understand exactly where we are. So, and it's the stretch of 5 and 6 on the road, a lot of travel involved. We get a chance to go home, but it's a good challenge for us because we go back and Orlando, they're getting people back, Bonchero's back. That'll be a good test. And then there's a lot of teams that are playing well right now that are coming in, so we got to take it day by day, game by game. Don't look too far ahead. Just get ready for Orlando, but get our legs under us and get a chance to get in the gym and fix things and work on things and continue to improve. So I don't want us to get away from, the way we've mapped out the season, and that's for us to lock into daily improvement and don't get lost. Obviously we fell short the last 2 days. Now, get ready for Orlando. Do the things that are necessary to prepare to win that game.
All right, Wally, you're the former player. You could speak to this better than anybody, obviously. When you look ahead to the schedule, and you're talking already about these are the dog days for these players. You got 12 games for the rest of the month. We've mentioned that 10 are at home. And the road trips, the 2 road games, are at the Nets and at Philly. So how advantageous is this for this team the rest of the month?
It's very advantageous, but it's no guarantees. You still have to go out and play at a high level and perform to win games in this league. You see how hard it is, and I talk about this all the time. You never feel bad for winning. Alan says you never apologize for winning. Because when you can get those wins, you grab them, you take them, you put it in your win column on the left side of your column. You do not want those losses. And when those losses come, they have to bother you. They bother this team, obviously. This team normally bounces back after one loss. But a 2-game losing streak, got to put an end to this on Monday, got to take care of business at home. The benefit of being at home is you got those fans. You got 20,000 people that are behind you. You're sleeping in your own bed. So you have that adrenaline push that you need. I think this Chicago Bulls team, they had an adrenaline push with the Derrick Rose ceremony, with all the emotion in the building. All former players coming back, flying in to watch this game for Derrick Rose and to cheer for a legendary player in their franchise. I think it elevated this team a little bit. I think it gives the home team a little bit of extra juice. And that's what the Knicks are going to get for this month. But you can't take it for granted. You still got to go out there and earn those wins, even at home.
I don't know if it's the imagination or the reality, but it seems like Kobe White always has a good game against the Knicks. 9 made threes, career high. He goes 9 of 11 from downtown. He had 24, remember, in the game here. He drew the foul on Josh Hart. That was the difference in the game here.
Yep.
Tonight he goes for 33 points, 9 of 11 from 3.
He can shoot. He really can. And it's been cleared up for him to be the second option now that DeMar DeRozan has moved on to the Sacramento Kings. It's Levine and Kobe White every single night. They're going to get a volume of shots. They're going to get a bulk of shots. And when this guy starts finding the range from deep, he can light it up. And he showed it tonight. He seems to always play well against the Knicks.
See, that's good defense right there.
It is. This is great defense, too. Shamit's up on him. He's 3-4 feet behind the three-point line. But I'm telling you, Zach LaVine and Kobe White are shot makers. They're tough shot makers. When they get a rhythm on offense and they get off to a good start, which especially LaVine got off to a good start. He had 24 points on really high percentage shooting in the first half. Then as an offensive player, you just start taking tough shots and saying, if it goes in, I don't care. And you start making them. And you take the pressure off yourself when you build yourself a little equity with a big first half. And that's exactly what Kobe White and Zach LaVine did. And they closed this game with exquisite shot making.
A unique line for Josh Hart. Only 2 points, but he grabbed 16 rebounds and passed off for 10 assists.
It's great.
Didn't make a field goal, took only 5 shots, but made a contribution as always. We're going to get his post-game reaction after this.
The Knicks post-game show is presented by Audi. Visit your Tri-State Audi dealer today.
Knicks are back in action Monday, back home. Seems like they play the Magic every other game. Playing Orlando again. Pre-game at 7, game at 7:30. Josh Hart, 2 points, but he did have 16 rebounds and 10 assists in the loss tonight. Here he is after the game.
I feel like we were scoring, but it just wasn't good flow. So we just gotta, we gotta make sure we execute. Obviously, it was, it's gonna be tough with this being this kind of back to back, and then, the long halftime we kind of, came out slow in that third quarter. So, we got to go back, rest, regroup, and we got what we got on Monday.
Defensively, what needed to change in that second half for you guys?
We needed to fly around more. We needed to communicate better, contest shots better. We needed to make the miss, and that's something that we didn't do. So, that we didn't deserve to win that game with how we played, and we got to, take down, on the chin and move on.
You guys were down by 19. You get all the way back to 6. When you exert so much energy to fight back, how hard is it to kind of get over the hump and kind of get, draw even with the team?
Yeah, obviously it's tough. It's a position that we should not have been in. But you got to give them credit. They, they played hard. They ran. They executed. They made shots. And we didn't.
You didn't kind of mention in the beginning, but how much does last night's game, tired legs, kind of play a factor in what happened today?
I don't think it really played a factor. I just feel like we didn't go out there and execute. Like I said, I don't think we were scoring by it. I don't think it were, there's a real flow, to the game. And, tired legs. I mean, we're not even halfway through the season yet, so legs can't get, be too tired. So we just didn't execute. We didn't, we didn't play as good as we should have, and we didn't deserve to win this one.
Josh Hart explaining what happened there to the Knicks in the second half. Again, they gave up 76 second half points, most they've allowed all year in a half, and they gave up 139 points, most points they've allowed in a single game. When we come back, we are going to look ahead. Derrick Rose getting some love from his former coach, Tom Thibodeau. They had great years together, of course, in Chicago. It was Rose night in Chicago, and the Bulls won by 13. Welcome back, everybody. Here's what's ahead for the Knicks. Note the 15th. That's one of only 2 road games for the Knicks the rest of the month. At Philly, hardly any travel. And on the 21st, they're at the Nets. So they barely have to travel at all the rest of the month. Start Monday at home against the Orlando Magic. We are back to wrap things up after this. Wrapping up the Audi Knicks postgame show. We are back with you on Monday night. The Knicks playing host to the Magic. Pre-game at 7, game at 7:30. You can also stream our coverage on MSG Plus, now on the Gotham Sports app. Want more than just a postgame show? Link your eligible TV subscription to stream Knicks games free or subscribe today in the Gotham Sports app. Just go to gothamsports.tv to learn more.